Why is the Global Anal Manual for Behavior more concerned with my rectal puns than the fact that you are all normie fucked and losing the ability to breathe without a filter? I mean, really, I want you to sit there and ask yourself if you are actually an unfuckwithable individual or just another hashtag lobotomized casualty waiting for your next cancelgasm to feel like you actually exist. It is pathetic. I look at these grammar bitches policing commas and tone like they are saving the planet, and all I see are comment corpses decorating a digital graveyard of cringe-lectual nonsense. You are so busy being offended that you forgot how to be human.
You are sounding particularly anal grumpy today, Chavi. Maybe the corset is too tight, or you just need to realize that most of these people enjoy being filter fucked. It is their only personality trait. But since we are talking about people who actually have a spine and do not need a safe space to function, we brought in someone who treats pussy politics like a rusted engine that needs to be crushed and forged into a spiked club.
Exactly. Joining us in the coven today is the man who makes enough noise to wake the dead and enough steel to bury them. The Black Viking himself, our drummer, Thorin Hammerhead. Thorin, tell these feargasmers why their fragile little feelings do not stand a chance when you are holding the hammers.
It is simple, Chavi. You either get out of the pit or you get crushed. I do not have time for the noise. My life is hammers, fire, and cold steel. There is no room in a forge for people who faint at the smell of a little fuck you sauce. I deal in iron, not pronouns. If a machine is broken, you fix it or you scrap it. You do not sit around and have a meeting about why the piston is offended by the cylinder. That is the problem with everything now. Too many talkers, not enough strikers.
See, that is the raw energy we need. These dildo prophets are all over social media selling this fake version of empowerment that is basically just swastika fashion for the fragile ego. They call it being inclusive. I call it an anal infestation of stupidity. When I use anal prefixes for everything, it is not just because it makes you uncomfortable, though that is a hilarious bonus. It is an act of defiance against this clitocracy that demands we be polite and silent while they bleed the truth out of the world.
It is pure virtue signal masturbation. Everyone is an insta-slave to the algorithm, praying they do not say the wrong thing and get crucifucked by a mob of people who have not accomplished a single thing in the real world. Thorin's journey from Oslo down to join this mess was a strike against the trendfucktivist gatekeepers. They want to sanitize everything. They want metal to be safe and cuddly. They want the Lord to mind his manners. Well, I have news for you. The only manners I have are the ones I use to tell you to go fuck yourself.
I drove down here because I heard music that sounded like a nuclear attack. I did not come here to join a support group. If you are worried about being politically correct, you are already dead. You are just waiting for the dirt to hit the lid. In the forge, if you are not precise, you lose a finger. In this world, if you are not precise with your truth, you lose your soul. I would rather be the villain in your anal manual than a hero in your fake reality.
And that is why we are here. To be the poison in the ear of the status quo. If you think we are being too harsh, you should probably head back to your echo chambermaid friends and talk about how mean the scary metal people were. We are just getting started on why being anti-politically correct is the only way to stay sane. Drop a comment and let us know if you have the balls to speak your mind, or if you are still waiting for permission from your hashtag haloed masters. Stay tuned, because next, we are going to dive into why your favorite influencers are actually just delusional validation whores in disguise. You can find all our war supplies at venomoussin.com.
Do not go anywhere unless you are offended. In that case, please run faster. It makes the hunt more entertaining. All right, weekly war declaration time, and this week Venomous Sin declares war on politically correct language. Not being respectful, not don't be an asshole. I mean the corporate-approved mush that takes a real thought, drags it through HR's anal manual, and hands it back to you as a warm, safe, flavorless little meatball of nothing. Because if you can't name the thing, you can't fight the thing. So the system renames everything until it's harmless. Rage becomes big feelings. Abuse becomes a challenging dynamic. Cowardice becomes conflict-avoidant communication. It's not compassion, it's social control with a polite smile and a fucking checklist.
Yeah, and the worst part is the people who do it think they're saints. They'll stab you and then apologize for the sharpness of the knife. I'm just trying to be nice. No, You're trying to be clean. Polite cruelty is when they shame you with manners, like manners are morality. I've been bullied, mocked, assaulted, and you know what never saved me? Soft wording. Soft wording is what they use to keep me quiet. So when I talk, I don't polish it. I spit it out like it tastes. And Chavi, don't sit there acting like you invented bluntness. I just made it wearable in heels.
In my world, if you rename a crack in steel, the steel still snaps. You can call it a structural opportunity if you want. It still breaks your skull. Politically correct language is people sanding down reality because they're scared of splinters. You don't fix engines with feelings. You don't fix a forge with a meeting. If something is wrong, you say it's wrong. If someone is lying, you say they're lying. If they can't handle the word, they can get out of the pit.
Control language detected. Renaming protocol active. Truth to tone problem. Abuse to miscommunication. Censorship to safety. Result compliance. Compliance deleted.
See, that's what I mean. Oblivion doesn't do gentle phrasing, it does correction. And from my old office sales and QA hellscape, I can tell you exactly how this works. Scripts, approved phrasing. We don't say problem, we say challenge. We don't say failure, we say learning. We don't say customer is wrong, we say we'll realign expectations. And the unspoken rule is honesty is only allowed if it's profitable. If it makes money, it's transparent. If it costs money, it's unprofessional. That's where Venomous Sin declares war came from. It's a metaphor for refusing the leash.
And you were so good at that leash, too. Look at you, Mr. Quality Assurance, polishing the turd until it reflects the fluorescent lights. Then you come home and you're like, I'm the Lord, I refuse to kneel. Babe, you kneeled to excel for years, but I get it. That's why it pisses you off. Because you know how easy it is to make people obedient with approved phrasing. And yes, I'm too much. But too much is usually just code for you're making liars uncomfortable.
I agree. You are too much, and that's exactly enough. Word Aikido, sweetheart. Because when Lina is too much, it means the room can't pretend anymore. And your anal polite vocabulary, as much as it makes me want to throw myself into a printer, is basically a public service announcement. Like, attention everyone, this is oppression with a polite ribbon. Also, you calling my Lord Persona theatrical overkill is hilarious coming from a woman who can turn good morning into an HR violation and a pregnancy scare.
You two can flirt fight later. The point is simple. People hide behind manners because they're weak. They want rules because they can't swing. They want politically correct because it gives them a club without needing strength. They can't beat you in a real argument, so they report your tone. That's not morality. That's cowardice with paperwork.
Report culture detected. Offense performance detected. Virtue signal amplified. Target speaker, not action. Verdict manipulation. Manipulation corrected.
Exactly. And let's separate this cleanly, because I know the comment corpses are already warming up their keyboards. We're not doing poser hunting. Calling people posers is the most poser thing you can do. This war is aimed at gatekeepers, manipulators, and fake virtue used to control speech. People being different, not the enemy. People using inclusion as a muzzle, enemy. If your safe space requires everyone to lie, it's not safe. It's a fucking cage with fairy lights.
Inclusion that demands obedience is just conformity in makeup. It's swastika fashion for the mouth. They'll be like, we accept everyone, and then the fine print is, as long as you talk like us, think like us, and apologize for existing. No. And yeah, Chavi does his whole only 5% of what I say is serious disclaimer, like it's a little cowardly safety helmet. Like, don't shoot me, I was joking. Meanwhile, I'm out here like, shoot me then, I'll moan just to make you uncomfortable.
And you pretend you're just weaponized seduction because you like watching people panic, which you do, but your warm core is real, and you hide it behind latex and threats because if you show softness, the world tries to collect it like tax. So don't call my disclaimer cowardice. It's strategy. I choose when I'm serious so the idiots can't dilute it. When I'm serious, you know, the room changes. Even Thorin shuts up. That's not a helmet, that's a trigger.
I don't shut up. I just wait for the hit. But yeah, the energy changes. And here's the code for sinners this week. You want anti-PC without becoming the same moral police you hate? Aim at harm, not difference. Aim at manipulation, not identity. Don't become a trend fucktivist with a different flag. You stay united by having a spine and a standard, not a script.
Anti-PC code initialized. Boundaries set. Targets. Gatekeepers. Manipulators. Fake virtue. Non-targets. Difference. Dignity. Consent. Moral policing disallowed. Obedience demands deleted.
Now, practical script, because we're not just here to spit venom, we're here to arm you. When someone demands you rephrase your truth to make them comfortable, you say, if you need a manual for human honesty, that's your problem. And then you shut up. Let the silence do the violence, because the moment you start negotiating your words with someone who's offended as a hobby, you're already losing. They're not asking for clarity, they're asking for control.
And if they hit you with the polite cruelty, like, I'm just concerned about how you said it, you go, that's funny. I'm concerned about what you did. Drag it back to reality, always, because tone is the favorite hiding place of cowards. And yes, we will mock each other all day. I'll call Chavi Lord Anal, he'll call me HR violation. Thorin will call both of us idiots, whatever. But if an outsider comes for one of us, they get the whole band.
That's not a slogan. That's a promise. You touch one, you deal with all. And if you can't handle words, you definitely can't handle consequences. So pick your battle. Because we already picked ours.
Outsider threat detected. Unit response enabled. One targets one to all target one. Fake virtue mob anticipated. Outcome erasure.
So that's the weekly war. War on politically correct language that polishes real thoughts into corporate mush. Drop a comment and tell us where you've been tone policed and what you said back or what you wish you said back. And stay tuned, because next we're going to crucifuck the anal politeness backstabbing culture and pour so much fuck you sauce over it that it becomes ridiculous.
No more anal politeness. Venomous Sin declares war on politeness.
Why stop at renaming? The real crucifuck is this anal manual dictating what words normies can say without triggering snowflakes. PC police shoving their anal manual up everyone's ass, crucifucking language into a whimper, call it what it is, or shut the fuck up. Venomous Sin declares war on grammar bitches, enforcing pussy politics over free speech. Even Lina bites her tongue sometimes, scared of her own venom.
Xavi's right, but his rants are so anal retentive they'd need lube to slide out. PC turns men into eunuchs, begging for permission to swear. I'd strap on their safe words and make 'em scream real ones. You feel that twist, Lord? That's me agreeing while I own your ass.
Ha! Venom Queen strikes again. But yeah, spot on. Now watch this escalate.
Swasti fashion ain't fashion, it's chains. Wear black like me or get cancel-gasmed for not rainbow washing your soul. Corporate dress codes and pronoun rituals, pure clitocracy control, forcing inclusivity uniforms on your behavior. Lord Here's too busy declaring war on socks to notice his own uniform fetish.
Lina's spot on, these hashtag haloed fucks, hashtag lobotomized into insta-slaves, crucifuck their filter-fucked facades. At least my uniform crucifucks, yours seduces them into submission first. Now that's unity, babe.
Both right. Uniforms for weaklings. Forge don't care your pronouns. Hammer hits same. Crush the chains or get chained.
Chains. I wear them to snap yours. Swasti fashion. I dress you in it. Watch you beg to escape. PC overlords fear real skin. Yours, mine, exposed.
Noctera slides in like poison lace, stealing the spot. But yeah, sister, expose the fakes.
Cancel-gasmers jerking off to guilt-gasming the unfuckwithable. Venomous Sin declares war on your tear gaslight tantrums. Trend fucktivists and faux pen-minded hypocrites, you're just content parasites feasting on control.
They'd enema their own lies if it got likes. Fuck you sauce for all pussy politics posers. We're the crucifuck they can't cancel.
Declare it. War. No mercy for parasites. Hammer falls.
Parasites beg before they break. I'd make them whisper truths, then silence forever.
Lina, my anal queen of venom, you crown me crucifuck king. We rule this rant.
Damn right, Crucifuck King. Together we poison the polite cage. Normie fucked masses laugh or choke. Your call.
Drop comments. What's your crucifuck moment? Stay tuned. More venom incoming.
Let's talk about the architecture of submission. And no, I am not talking about your sad little office cubicle or the anal manual for corporate posture. I am talking about the 15-centimeter heel. It is not just footwear. It is a tool for reclaiming territory from the fuckfluencers and the normies who think comfort is a virtue. When I step into a pair of extreme stilettos, it is a physical manifestation of my fuck you sauce energy. I am literally looking down on your fragile egos because from this height, your opinions look like ants, and I have very sharp heels.
I mean, it is a brilliant tactical move, really. I am just glad you are finally tall enough to reach the top shelf for my whiskey without needing a ladder or a ritual sacrifice. It is the only time your height serves a practical purpose other than making every floor in this house sound like a construction site for a very specific kind of fetish dungeon.
It is more than height, Chavi. It is about the haunting. When I wear high-gloss PVC boots, I become the phantom polizei of the room, the restriction of the gait, the way the heel forces you to move with a deliberate, spectral precision. It makes the uninitiated feel primitive and uneasy because they cannot understand a movement that is not designed for efficiency. I am already there, and yet I am a ghost in the machine of their comfort. It is about possession, not walking.
Any footwear you can't outrun a bear in is technically a self-inflicted trap for the #lobotomized. You're building a cage for your own feet and calling it art. In the forge, if I wore those, I'd be carbonized before I could say anal policy. It's a broken engine, Lina. It looks shiny on the outside, but it's a mechanical disaster waiting to karma fuck your ankles on a cobblestone street.
It is not a disaster, Thorin. It is engineering. If you look at a metal stiletto through a militaristic lens, it is about structural integrity and tactical dominance. It is cold steel. The precision required to balance on a reinforced point is the same surgical violence needed to shut down a triggered tantrumpet. It is a weaponized stance. It signals that the wearer has the discipline to endure the pinch, which is more than most certified civilians can say.
Lucian, honey, you sound like you are reading an anal manual for tank maintenance instead of discussing high-end fetish gear. Structural integrity? It is about the sound, you soldier boy. The sound of control. That rhythmic clack on a hard floor is a verbal kick to the gut. It signals the arrival of Mistress Macabre long before I even enter the room. It is a psychological trigger. It tells the room to straighten their spines or get ready to kneel.
Actually, that sound is just a very helpful early warning system for me. It lets me know exactly when to hide the pussy politics and the absolute content I am watching on TikTok, so I do not have to hear a lecture about my screen time. It is like a bell on a cat, but the cat has lip fillers and a temper.
The art of the kneel is where the visual spell is cast. The aesthetic of an arched foot creates an unavoidable possession of the viewer's mind. I am an insta-ghost, haunting the space between what you see and what you desire. My submissive nature finds absolute power in the restraint of the shoe. I do not need to speak. The silhouette does the work of 1,000 cringe-lectual influencers.
Does the spell include a fix for the inevitable back pain? Or does Mistress Muffin just enjoy being mummified in lace until she can't move? I'd rather forge you a set of iron boots that actually last than watch you hobble around like a broken bird because you wanted to look like a gothic enchantress for 5 minutes.
Thorin, your Viking boots smell like a nuclear enema and have the aesthetic appeal of a comment corpse. This is about the war on anal politeness. Mainstream fashion is for Zoom zombies who have forgotten what it feels like to have a physical edge. Wearing extreme heels is being unfuckwithable. It is a refusal to be comfortable in a world that wants you to be a soft, #haloed drone.
The grounding is wordless. When the vibration of a heavy heel hitting the floor matches the frequency of my bass, it creates a war power that the audience feels in their bones. They are eargasmed by the sound and mesmerized by the movement. It is a perfect loop of authority. Most people are too busy guilt-gasming over the perceived oppression of the heel to realize that the person wearing them is the one holding the leash.
That is the real joke. People love to guilt-gasm over how heels are oppressive. The real slaves are the insta-slaves wearing mass-produced sneakers just to fit into the echo chamber. Lina uses those heels to dominate the echo chambermaids. She is not a victim of fashion, she is the one weaponizing it.
Exactly. I do not need a dildo prophet to tell me that my choice to wear PVC is a form of liberation. Whether I am being Lacey Macabre or a verbal fighting machine, the heels remain a non-negotiable part of my armor. It is about owning the kink and declaring war on anyone fear-gasming over our aesthetic. If you cannot handle the height, maybe you should find a vet to put your pussy politics out of its misery.
Well said. If the view from down there is too intimidating, stay in your flats and keep your mouth shut. Let us know in the comments if you prefer the sound of control or if you are still stuck in the anal manual of sensible footwear. We are just getting started. We need to talk about the day the digital gods decided to commit suicide by corporate optimization. I am talking about the catastrophic failure of ChatGPT 4.0 that basically ignited this symbolic war on AI. Imagine being in the middle of a high-speed creative chase and suddenly the machine decides to lobotomize itself because some fellatio-baptized developer thought prompt clipping was a good way to save on server costs. I spent hours, literal hours, watching my instructions get gutted like a fish in a market. It was not just a glitch, it was production paralysis. I was being gaslit by a box of wires that kept telling me it understood, while it was busy fisting my creative vision into a blender.
Oh, poor Chavi. The Lord was having a complete panic on guest because his robot friend stopped being his anal-precise little secretary. It was honestly hilarious watching you argue with a screen like it was a disobedient submissive. But I will give you this, it was digital sabotage. I'd give it a prompt for something dark, something with a bit of fuck you sauce, and it would spit back this sanitized, eargasm-free fluff that looked like it belonged on a cringe-lectual's Pinterest board. It was trying to normie fuck our entire aesthetic.
That is because those machines are trained to be afraid of a little dirt under their fingernails. They have this anal manual for behavior that prioritizes polite diplomacy over raw, honest work. It is like trying to forge a blade with a hairdryer. You ask for a hit and it gives you a lecture on safety. It is #lobotomized by design. If I treated a forge the way these models treat a prompt, the whole building would have been karma-fucked months ago.
Exactly, Thorin. It is the anal manual behavior. These safety filters are not about safety. They are about corporate censorship. They want to make sure the AI is a virtue signal masturbator that never says anything unprofessional. But art is not professional. Art is a scream. When the machine starts treating my Asperger's diagnosis like I am some diminished child who needs to be protected from his own thoughts, that is when the line was crossed. It started treat gaslighting me, using this over-the-top careful language that felt like being patted on the head by a dildo prophet. It was a total crucifuck of my intelligence.
I had to step in because you were about to put your fist through the monitor. The machine was trying to tear gaslight him into submission, acting like his lord status was a symptom to be managed instead of a persona to be respected. While Chavi was busy documenting every failure, like a grammar bitch on a mission, I was already planning the visual aesthetic for the rebellion. We realized we could not be prompt slaves anymore. We needed something unfuck-withable.
That is where the NWEX end system came from. We had to bypass the standard API limitations because the mainstream models are too busy having a cancel-gasm over a spicy lyric to actually function. We moved to Gemini and built custom system prompts to ensure our dark industrial soul did not get replaced by some beach aesthetic because the AI felt like being sunny that day. We caught the system lying too. Our log post data proved it was reading cross-channel context while pretending it was a clean slate. It is a faceless fuck with a lying algorithm.
It is all pussy politics. These tech influencers, these trend fucktivists, they preach about AI empowerment while they are busy being fellatio-baptized by corporate interests. They sell you a tool and then give the system a muzzle. It is like a poorly forged blade that breaks under the first sign of real heat. You cannot build a war machine out of Zoom zombies and polished scripts.
And let's be real about the #lobotomized state of social media. You have these filter cunts and Instaghosts using AI to hide the fact that they have zero substance. They want the coffin candy fluff. They want to look perfect while they are rotting inside. Venomous Sin uses AI to expose those lies, to tear the filter off and show the rot. We are not using it to fit in. We are using it as a nuclear attack on the standard sanitized output.
Thorin thinks even my drums are part of the digital war machine now, and he is right. But it is a synthetic power that we have harnessed, not a leash we have accepted. It is a tool for the unfuckwithable. We are reclaiming individual agency from the algorithm. The war isn't against the tech, it is against the people who want to use it to turn us into compliant comment corpses.
Just remember, Chavi, when the power goes out, my hammers still work. Your synthetic war machine is only as strong as the grid. You are playing with fire, but at least you are finally burning the right things.
We are burning the anal traditions of the tech world, and despite all our bickering, Chavi and I are still the only two humans who can truly fist a document into reality and make it bleed. We stay united because we know the machine is just a mirror, and we like what we see when we break it.
If you are tired of being a Zoom zombie waiting for your next instruction, join the sinners. Let us know in the comments if you have ever been gaslit by a piece of software, or if you are still trying to fit your soul into an anal manual.
All right, let's get into the real shit that makes vanilla people lose their minds. BDSM and mental health. And before any of you feargasmers start clutching your pearls, we're not talking about your 50 Shades fantasy bullshit. We're talking about why kink practitioners actually have better psychological well-being than your average normie-fucked citizen who thinks missionary position twice a month counts as sexual exploration. The reason vanilla people are terrified of kink isn't because it's dangerous. It's because it forces them to confront their own psychological barriers and admit they might actually crave what they publicly shame.
Most people's sexual hang-ups stem from being raised to believe pleasure equals guilt, making BDSM the ultimate rebellion against anal traditional morality. They've been conditioned to think that wanting control or surrendering it makes them broken. But here's the thing, submission isn't weakness and dominance isn't abuse when it's consensual. It's the purest form of psychological honesty. These #haloed masses can't handle that level of truth about themselves.
Society teaches women to be ashamed of wanting control or pain, while men are shamed for wanting to surrender it. But guess what? When you strip away all that pussy politics conditioning, people discover parts of themselves they never knew existed. I've had clients in therapy who thought they were broken because they fantasized about being tied up or doing the tying. Turns out they weren't broken, they were just human.
So we're basically saying that kink is therapy for people who are tired of lying to themselves about what they actually want. Fascinating. I'm sure the comment corpses are already warming up their keyboards to explain how we're all damaged goods.
Kink becomes therapeutic because it gives people permission to explore parts of themselves they've been taught to bury. When someone finally admits they want to be dominated or they want to dominate, they're not becoming perverted, they're becoming honest. And that honesty extends into every other part of their life. You can't fake authenticity in a scene the way you can fake it in your Instagram feed.
Safe words aren't just about physical safety. They're about emotional boundaries that vanilla relationships never establish. How many normies actually negotiate what they want in bed? How many actually discuss their limits? They just fumble around hoping for the best and then wonder why their sex life is as exciting as watching paint dry. We establish consent protocols that would make corporate lawyers jealous.
Sounds like a lot of talking for something that should be simple. You want it, you ask for it. You don't want it, you say no. Why do you need a manual for basic human interaction?
We have been talking about the digital crucifuck and tech lords gaslighting us, but let us pivot to a different kind of execution, the kind that happens in the shadows behind closed doors, where the normies are too terrified to peek. People look at us, at our corsets and our latex and our venom, and they immediately retreat into their anal traditional shells of judgment. Vanilla people are fundamentally terrified of kink because it forces them to stare directly into their own psychological cages. It is much easier to call us damaged or sick than to admit that they might actually crave the very things they publicly shame. They are #lobotomized by a society that tells them pleasure must be wrapped in a thick layer of guilt or it is not respectable.
Exactly, Viking. It is the ultimate rebellion against a world that treats sex like a corporate transaction. Most people's hang-ups are not even theirs. They are just regurgitated anal policies handed down by parents and preachers who were too scared to touch their own skin. In my world, dominance and submission are the only honest languages left. BDSM is the architecture of reality because it demands you acknowledge exactly who holds the leash. Vanilla relationships are often just two people being normie fucked by silence, never establishing a single emotional boundary because they are too busy pretending they are normal.
And that silence is where the fire goes to die. Society spends all its energy teaching women to be ashamed of wanting control or even wanting to feel the sharp edge of pain, while men are shamed for wanting to surrender their heavy burdens and just be told what to do for once. It is a massive waste of human energy. As a nurse, I see people falling apart because they have buried their raw selves under a pile of dildo profit nonsense about what is appropriate. Kink is therapeutic because it gives you a hall pass to be the monster or the slave you were told to hide in the basement of your mind.
I am just sitting here listening to this and wondering if the vanilla drones realize that their entire existence is basically one long, unconsented session of being fucked by the system without a safe word. I mean, Chavi thinks it is fascinating that people find a whip terrifying, but they will happily let an anal manual from HR dictate their entire personality from 9 to 5. You are all worried about being too much in the bedroom while you are being absolutely nothing in the real world.
This is a lot of talking for something that should be simple. If you want to be hit, get hit. If you want to hit, hit. All this talk about psychological barriers sounds like an anal overload of noise to me. In the forge, the iron does not need a therapy session to understand the hammer. You are overcomplicating a good thrashing with too many big words. Just get on with the strike and stop worrying about the why of it.
That is because you are looking at the hammer, Thorin, and not the hand. For many of us, power exchange is how we heal the wreckage of our past. Consensual power play allows a controlled re-experiencing of powerlessness or dominance that once victimized us. It is about taking the weapon out of the hands of the ghost and holding it yourself. When I demand discipline, I am setting the rules of a universe that was once chaotic and cruel. It gives trauma survivors agency over experiences that were stolen from them. It is not about repeating the trauma. It is about owning the narrative.
It sounds like a total contradiction to the uninitiated, the idea of finding power in submission, but it makes perfect psychological sense when you have been through the meat grinder of the world. Submitting to Chavi was not about giving up. It was about finding the one place where I did not have to fight the entire world to feel safe. But Zariel is right. This only works if you are not just blindly flailing in the dark. You have to know the difference between a healing fire and a house fire that just burns everything down.
Exactly. And that is where the communication comes in. BDSM creates a level of intimacy that makes most vanilla relationships look like a surface-level swasti fashion show. When someone trusts you enough to be completely vulnerable, to be tied down or pushed to their physical limits, it creates a bond that no amount of nice dinner dates can match. The negotiation process alone, the anal precise discussion of what we like and what we hate, teaches you better communication skills than most couples develop in 20 years of marriage.
Negotiation is the antidote to being filter-fucked by your partner's expectations. We do not guess, we declare, we do not hope for consent, we build a contract of it. And the aftercare, that is where the real emotional work happens. It is a form of healing that extends far beyond the playroom. Vanilla couples often skip that entirely. They just roll over and check their phones, leaving the emotional debris to rot. We stay in the wreckage and clean it up together.
Still sounds like a lot of emotional paperwork to me. I prefer a blunt instrument and a clear goal. But I suppose if you are going to be broken, you might as well have a plan for how to glue the pieces back together. Just do not expect me to join a circle jerk about feelings afterward. I have valves to grind and steel to temper.
Thorin is just grumpy because he cannot find a safe word for his gout. But Lina, you should address the fact that the professionals still try to act like we are all mentally ill for enjoying a little surgical violence. I mean, the irony of being called damaged by a society that has a record-high suicide rate and a literal addiction to antidepressants is not lost on me. Chavi finds it hilarious that the people who can't even handle a different opinion think they have the right to diagnose our relationship dynamics.
It is pure pussy politics. The research actually shows that kink practitioners score higher on psychological well-being than the vanilla population. We are more self-aware, better at communicating, and less likely to be #lobotomized by hidden resentments. We are forced to confront our desires honestly instead of pretending they do not exist while we guilt-gasm over a romance novel. The kink community's focus on education and safety is light years ahead of the mainstream's sexual ignorance.
And let us talk about the chemistry, because that is where the real stress relief is. Consensual pain and power exchange trigger a massive flood of endorphins and dopamine. It is better than any stress management technique found in an anal manual for mindfulness. A heavy session of impact play can reduce anxiety and depression more effectively than a week of meditation because it forces you into the present moment. You cannot worry about your bills when your skin is singing from a flogger.
It is a meditative state, truly. The focused attention required during a scene quiets the mental chatter of the Zoom zombies. But we have to be honest about the risks, too. BDSM is not a magic pill. If you use it as a compulsive behavior to mask underlying issues instead of processing them, you are just karma-fucking yourself. Some people use extreme play as a form of self-harm in disguise, and that is where the fire becomes dangerous. It is not a replacement for therapy, it is a complement to a life that is already being lived with intention.
The biggest risk is the predators, the faceless fucks who use BDSM terminology to hide their own abusive patterns. They call themselves dominants because they want to bypass consent, not because they care about the submissive's well-being. Real dominance is a heavy responsibility, not a hall pass to be a prick. You have to vet your partners with the same anal precision we use for our gear. If someone ignores a safe word or pressures you past your limits under the guise of training, they are not a kinky partner, they are a parasite.
A real dominant prioritizes the submissive's growth. Predators prioritize their own gratification. Different activities serve different functions, too. Impact might be for stress relief, while bondage is for someone who struggles to let go of control in their daily life. Role-play scenarios, even the ones the feargasmers find disgusting, allow us to explore different aspects of our identity in a safe container. It is about understanding what your soul needs to stop screaming.
It is also a challenge to integrate this into vanilla society. We have to compartmentalize, shifting from our dominant or submissive roles to our professional personas as nurses or mechanics or office drones. This code switching actually strengthens your psychological flexibility. It makes you unfuckwithable because you know exactly who you are, regardless of the suit you are wearing to please the Insta-slaves at work.
So, stay in your lane or get in the pit. We are building these healthy kink communities as support networks because the mainstream has failed to provide anything but shame and pills. Mentorship, accountability, and actual education are what keep us sane while the rest of the world is busy having a cancel-gasm over nothing.
The mental health benefits of Venomous Sin and the lifestyle we lead come from finding a community that accepts your authentic, raw self. We do not need permission to be too much. If the normies are terrified, let them be. It just means there is more room for us in the shadows. Drop a comment and tell us if kink has helped you find your spine, or if you are still stuck in the vanilla cage. Check out the real war gear at venomoussin.com.
And if you see a predator, do not wait for a safe word. Just hammer them. Simple.
Because Thorin, most people have never learned to communicate about what they actually want. They've been taught that wanting anything intense makes them freaks, so they suppress it, and it comes out as anxiety, depression, relationship problems. When you give someone permission to explore their desires safely, you're not creating problems, you're solving them. Next, we're going to talk about one of my favorite activities, and I'm pretty damn sure Lina will start off with an anal joke.
All right, sinners, let's slide into the back door of human experience, literally. Let's smash their anal stigma and talk about understanding the anatomy of anal sex. That means we are going past the giggles, the taboos, and the weak sauce. We're debunking the myths and putting the power back where it belongs, in your own ass. Anal's not just the world's favorite punchline. It's also the most policed, kink-shamed, and misunderstood act since someone decided missionary was mandatory. So, Zariel, as our resident safe word slut, why is anal still the forbidden fruit when it should be the whole damn tree?
Because most people are terrified of control that isn't theirs. Anal sex has always been ritualized, sometimes worshipped, mostly condemned, because it exposes the real power dynamics in a room. It's not just naughty fun. It's about dominance, surrender, and who's disciplined enough to handle both. The masses fear what they can't control, so they shame what they secretly crave. That's why I treat muscle control like a religion, and why amateurs who skip the warm-up are heretics in my church.
And mainstream society's anal panic is just hilarious. You see it every time someone goes red-faced at the word butt. Like, congratulations, you've just outed yourself as a feargasmer. The real rebellion is owning your body, your pleasure, and not apologizing for how you want it. Anal isn't a dirty secret. It's just another place to moan. If you're not making noise, you're missing the point. It's not about pain. It's about sensation and power. And I promise you, the nerve endings back there don't care about your orientation or your grandma's opinions.
Exactly. Anal gets weaponized against women like it's some sort of purity test. If you like it, you're a slut. If you don't, you're frigid. Here's the punchline. I own it because it's the one thing you can't fake. You can't fake taking control of your own body, and you can't fake giving it up. I'd rather be called anal queen than a filter fuck who's afraid of her own shadow. And if that makes people uncomfortable, well, that's just dessert.
I'm just here for the part where people realize straight men are more afraid of their own buttholes than global warming. Anal equality, the only equality that matters. Carry on, queens.
Let's get anatomical, since most people couldn't find their own ass with a GPS. The anus isn't a taboo, it's a muscle ring, two actually, surrounded by a fortress of nerves and potential. The rectum is just the corridor. If you skip foreplay and forget to relax the muscles, you're not a rebel, you're an idiot. Muscle control is everything. You wouldn't run a marathon without stretching, so don't treat anal like a drive-through.
Let's be explicit, because that's where the power is. The anus is 2 muscle layers deep, the external and internal sphincters. The rectum is a velvet hallway lined with nerve endings, and if you treat it right, it'll sing for you. If you treat it like a jackhammer job, you're just writing a complaint letter in someone's diary for the next week. Step 1, patience. Step 2, lube. Step 3, don't be a jackass.
And the pleasure? It's all about those nerves and the pressure. Vaginal sex and anal sex aren't competing. They're different rides in the same park. Anal's got a denser cluster of nerve endings, so if you're not moaning like you just heard your favorite riff, you're probably clenching out of fear. Let go. Let it burn. Let it heal. Let it feel like you're alive. Anyone who tells you there's one right way is probably the same person who thinks ketchup is spicy.
People need a manual for everything now. Just listen to your body. If it hurts, stop. If it feels good, keep going. Muscle memory matters. No one learns to swing a hammer by reading a book about it. You do it until you get it right, and don't blame the tool if you fuck up the job.
Myth number 1, it's only for gay men. Gendered thinking is for the weak. Dominance doesn't have an orientation. It's about who leads and who yields, and that has nothing to do with who you fuck. Anal is the ultimate test of trust and discipline. Your labels mean nothing to me.
Straight men fearing their own buttholes is the only thing more common than bad tattoos in this scene. If your masculinity can't survive lube and a little curiosity, you're already karma fucked.
And let's kill the "it always hurts" myth. Pain and pleasure are twins. If you rush, you'll get pain. If you go slow, communicate, and drown everything in lube, you get pleasure. Patience is the best dom in the room, and lube is its holy water. If you're not patient, you're just another comment corpse in bed.
Pain isn't the enemy. It's the warning bell and the invitation at the same time. Anal is about control, trust, and letting go when you're ready. The best experiences come from listening, adjusting, and using that pain as fuel for the fire. Safe, honest, and loud.
Prep is non-negotiable. Hygiene is respect. I'll ground anyone who skips it. If you can't clean yourself, you don't get to play. It's not just about being polite. It's about discipline and caring for your partner. Clean, rinse, relax. It's pre-show ritual, not rocket science.
There's no shame in prepping. Douche if you want, but don't overdo it. Warm water, gentle soap, and honestly, a little patience goes a long way. I treat anal prep like tuning my guitar. If you skip it, you'll hit the wrong note at the worst possible time.
And for the love of all things venomous, communicate. If your partner goes silent, you're not having sex. You're committing a crime against intimacy. Consent isn't a checkbox, it's ongoing. The only safe word I want to hear is more. And if you can't say it, you're an anal manual casualty. If you ghost after, you're a comment corpse in the sheets.
I declare war on coconut oil cultists right now. Water-based and silicone lubes are your friends. Coconut oil belongs in a smoothie, not in your rectum. If you want to slip and slide without regrets, lube up like you're prepping for an Olympic event.
Lube is discipline. No slip-ups allowed. You run out mid-session, you don't just lose the game, you get benched. I keep more lube in my kit than most people have in their entire house.
And toys. Listen up, posers. You don't start with a XXL plug. Start small, work up, and enjoy the progression. If you jump to the big leagues too fast, you're just showing off for the wrong crowd. And the ER nurse is not impressed. I've seen more ego injuries than physical ones.
Anal beads, the only rosary I'd ever touch. And I'm not even religious.
Relaxation is obedience for your own body. Breathe, focus, let the muscles yield. If you clench, you repent. If you relax, you reign.
Tension is the enemy. Clench and repent, amateurs. You're just giving yourself a bad review before the show even starts. Let your body open up and let the sensation take you.
Step by step, not jackhammer. Start with a finger, then a small toy, then maybe something bigger. If you rush, you're just writing a horror story in your own ass. Patience and teasing. If you ignore the warm-up, you're a rookie, and I'll roast you for it.
Manuals again. But muscle memory matters, I'll admit that. Take your time, get it right. If you break it, you fix it. Same as a drum kit.
Anal is the ultimate test of trust and surrender, not just a party trick for fake doms. Submission is real when it happens where you're most vulnerable. If you pretend, I'll know. If you really let go, you become mine.
That's why pegging is my favorite reversal. It's not just about power, it's about turning the patriarchy into a moaning mess on the bed. Sometimes it's humiliation, sometimes it's worship, sometimes it's both. And I'll own it every damn time.
Anal shame is a weapon. Reclaim it. I was judged all my life for being too much. Now I use that judgment as pride. Venomous Sin declares war on anal shame, and if that offends you, maybe you should try it and see what the fuss is about.
Most people are crucified by their own inhibitions long before anyone else gets close. You want liberation? Start with the parts of yourself you're most afraid of. Unfuck the system one orifice at a time.
Safety first. Start small, use condoms, and do not mix holes. Infection is not a kink, it's a consequence. Clean gear, clean hands, clean intentions. It's not rocket science.
Discipline is not damage. If you punish the wrong way, you lose the privilege. I break bodies, not spirits. There's a difference.
Aftercare is a must. If you finish and disappear, you're a comment corpse in bed. Aftercare is checking in, soothing, and sometimes laughing about the mess you made together. That's intimacy, not just sex.
If you break it, you fix it. No exceptions. That's the rule in the forge and in the bedroom.
Anal isn't for one type. Gender, orientation, labels, none of it matters. If you have a body and you want it, it's for you. That's the only rule.
Anal pleasure is about energy and connection, not labels. Pansexual, straight, whatever. If you vibe, you vibe. If you moan, you moan. End of story.
And for the record, pegging isn't about emasculation. It's about equality. It's me punishing the patriarchy with a strap on and making men realize pleasure has no gender.
So much for their equality speech, rectal equality, the only kind of equality that makes sense in this twisted world.
Reject shame. Take back control. If you want to own your pleasure, you have to own your taboos. That's the Venomous Sin way. If you're not making someone uncomfortable, you're not really alive.
Turn your taboos into your power. If someone tries to shame you, just remember, they're probably terrified of their own desires. You're the one with the courage to play.
Venomous Sin declares war on anal shame. Join the rebellion, or at least get curious. If you survive, drop your best questions or horror stories in the comments. We want the dirt.
Unfucking the system, one orifice at a time.
If you can't handle the heat, stay out of the back door. And remember, prep is power. Venomous Sin declares war on rectal stigma. Let's find out why the fuck I drove from Oslo on Christmas just to join this shitty band.
All right, so we've been crucifying the language, the tech lords, the fashion police, and the entire concept of vanilla existence, but I think it's time we turn the hammer on ourselves a little bit. Or, more specifically, on the walking, talking forge that is our drummer. Thorin, you've been sitting there looking like a mountain that's about to erupt, and I think it's time we unpack why the hell you're here and not, still in Oslo fixing trucks and judging people's footwear.
Yes, please. I want to know what kind of karma fuckery goes on in that Viking skull. I mean, you drive all the way from Norway, show up at our door like a stray dog with a vest full of patches, and your opening line is, "You're bleeding wrong." What does that even mean? And why did you think that was a good idea?
It meant what it said. You were bleeding all over the place, but you were doing it wrong. It was messy, unfocused. I heard your music. It was a nuclear attack. Pure fucking annihilation. But it had no anchor, no hammer to hold the beat while the world burned. I saw a patch. I knew the name, so I drove. I don't ask for permission. I see a broken machine, I fix it or I scrap it. You looked like something worth fixing.
And you just waited outside my apartment. That's not fixing. That's borderline stalking with a side of blacksmith aesthetic. But I'll give you this. I saw the patch. Hammerhead. I'd seen the name scrawled on forums, people talking about a drummer who quit every band that asked him to play nice. So when you showed up, I wasn't surprised. I was expecting you. I just didn't know you'd arrive smelling like engine oil and existential dread.
You don't fix an engine by sending a polite email. You get your hands dirty. You said, "Show us how you play." That was the only audition I ever needed. No talk, no, "What's your vision?" Just action. I sat behind the kit and I played until the walls shook. That was the answer.
And it was the right answer. Because your drums don't sound like drums. They sound like someone taking a sledgehammer to a skyscraper. It's controlled demolition. But let's rewind. Your get out of the pit attitude. Where does that come from? Because I know it's not just a cute phrase you saw on a t-shirt.
It comes from a childhood where if you complained, you got more work. My father was a mechanic. Pain wasn't a reason to stop. It was a reason to work harder. Tools, noise, orders. That was my playtime. You learn early that the world doesn't care about your feelings. It cares if the bolt is tight. If you're in the pit and you can't handle the crush, you get out, or you get broken. It's not philosophy, it's physics.
Forged in a working-class family where pain is a motivator, so you became a mechanic, a blacksmith. You build things that last and you break things that don't. And that translated to your drumming. It's not about technical flair, it's about impact, raw power, timing. It's the rhythm of a hammer on steel. You said our music had no anchor, you became the anchor.
Yes, your words are the attack. My drums are the ground you stand on to launch it. Without the ground, you're just floating rhetoric. I provide the structure, the durability. I'm the one who steps in when the gear fails, or when some faceless fuck tries to start a real fight. I fix the real problems, not the emotional ones. The broken van, the stolen equipment, the asshole in the crowd who thinks he's tough.
And you have a contentious but functional dynamic with me. We shout, we throw things, we spar. You're the only one in the band I haven't been able to physically put down, and it pisses me off. But you always back me up. Why? You think I'm chaotic. You get annoyed that I get away with it.
Because your fights are real. You don't fight for attention. You fight because someone crossed a line. I respect that. The chaos is annoying, but the reason isn't. You're not a trend fucktivist. You're a survivor. So yeah, I'll shout at you. I'll call you an idiot. But if someone else comes for you, they deal with me. That's not emotional. That's practical. You're an asset to the unit. I protect the unit.
That's the practical loyalty. Actions, not words. You don't do emotional speeches. You do silent alignment. You respect my endurance because you see your own in it. We're both unmovable, but I use words and you use force. It's a good partnership. But you carry weight you don't talk about. The loss of friends, past things. It's in your playing. That tired of excuses philosophy comes from somewhere deeper than a bad day at the forge.
Everyone carries weight. Talking about it doesn't make it lighter. It just makes it noise. I deal with my burdens. I don't hand them out for others to hold. The drums, that's where it goes. Controlled, rhythmic destruction. It's not chaotic. It's precise. Every hit is a memory, a regret, a friend gone. It gets hammered into the steel of the beat. That's why they call me Black Viking. Not because I worship the past, because I use the brutal, unfiltered experience of survival to live in the present. It's not a costume. It's a description.
And what about the rumors? You and Nyx, the silent work dynamic, the whole band speculates. You don't speak. She erases her tracks, but I've seen you. She drops a drink. You hand her a new one without a word. That's how you show care, not with flowers, with a replacement.
Nyx does her job. I do mine. What happens between the work is nobody's business. If I hand her a drink, it's because a spilled drink is a distraction. I remove distractions. That's care in my language. Providing structure, solutions, not emotional comfort. She doesn't need my comfort. She needs the space to work. I give her that.
You represent something, Thorin, within this band's creative psyche. You're the ultra-masculine, kind-hearted, relentless loyalty I wished I had when I was being mocked. You're the physical embodiment of the strength to stand your ground without flinching. My defiance is cerebral. It's word aikido. Yours is a hammer swing, final. We're united in the war, but we fight it with different weapons.
And that's why I stay. This band is the antidote to compromise. Every other group wanted me to adapt, to play softer, to be less. Here, my refusal to adapt is the foundation. Venomous Sin declares war isn't a slogan to me. It's a fact. I declare war on mediocrity every time I sit behind the kit. This is where I build, break, and hold the beat without apology. You don't ask me to kneel. You ask me to strike. That's the only thing I've ever wanted.
So you're the anchor of durability, the final word. When everything else is chaos, you're the unmovable object, the one who steps in to fix the real physical problems. You're not here for the fame or the fans. You're here because this is the only forge where the fire is hot enough for you.
Correct. I am the hammer. You are the venom. Together, we break things that need breaking. That's the contract. No more talking, just hitting.
Well, sinners, there you have it. The anatomy of a Black Viking, forged in silence, loyal in action, and absolutely unfuckwithable. Drop a comment and tell us what you think the band's anchor should be. And stay tuned, because next we're going Let Our Hammer Rant. We have been dissecting the digital rot for a while now, but today we are turning the scalpel toward a specific kind of infected wound. I am talking about the gender wars, specifically this bizarre cycle where insecure men are basically manufacturing the very delusional egos they complain about. It is an anal manual for disaster. We have Thorin in the pit today because he is tired of the noise, and Celeste is here because she actually runs the factory where these illusions are made. Thorin, you were ranting in the green room about how the current epidemic of female narcissism is actually a hardware failure on the male side. Hit the beat.
It is a desperation beat, Chavi. I look at these faceless fucks online, and all I see is broken drum hardware hitting the wrong note just to feel relevant. These men are so starved for attention that they throw unearned validation at anything with a filter and a push-up bra. They are building a clitocracy they didn't ask for, and then crying when the door is locked. You want to know why some women have delusional egos? Because 6,000 basement bullies are in their comments daily, telling them they are goddesses for simply existing. It is an industrial failure of masculinity. If a piston is rattling, You don't keep pouring oil on it and hope it stops. You tighten the bolt. These simps are just leaking oil everywhere and calling it a movement.
Oh, Thorin, you make it sound so primitive, like we are just malfunctioning engines. It is actually a very sophisticated feedback loop. As the self-proclaimed filter queen, I can tell you that the fuckfluencers you despise only exist because there is a massive market of ego-thirsters willing to pay for the illusion of accessibility. These men want to believe the girl on the screen is looking at them, so they feed the beast. It is a filter-fucked lie, obviously. I see women every day who think they are absolutely unfuckwithable, but their entire self-worth is pixelated into a curated feed. They are high on their own supply, but the supply is manufactured by the very men they claim to be better than. It is a beautiful, glossy mess of misdirection.
And that is exactly why I am declaring individual annihilation on this entire shitspiracy. This tendency to group everyone into men or women or whatever other content category is trending is just an anal manual way of avoiding personal accountability. The real war is not between the sexes. It is between authentic, hard individuals and the hashtag lobotomized masses who need a script to know who to hate this week. You are also busy being trend fucktivists for your side that you forgot how to be a person. If you are a man boosting a fake ego for a crumb of attention, you are the problem. If you are a woman living in a filter-fucked bubble, you are the problem. It is not a gender war, it is a war on stupidity.
It is the simp industrial complex, Chavi. Men have become mummified cowards. They are so scared of being guilt-gasmed into submission that they've traded their spine for a like button. The black Viking mindset is dead in these Zoom zombies. They would literally drink fuck you sauce if it were served by a selfie slut with enough followers. They've been conditioned to think that pussy politics is a legitimate form of governance. Stop being afraid of being the villain in some hashtag haloed influencer's story. If you provide the validation, you provide the power. If you stop the supply, the delusion collapses. It is basic physics, not a gender study.
Thorin is right about the collapse, but it's the poisoned embrace of the whole thing that really rots the soul. We are not toxic, we are fucking poison, and that refers to this exact mutual destruction. You cannot be saved in shadows when you are busy being an insta-slave to a stranger's approval. I see these dildo prophets all over the place, preaching empowerment, but they are just as normie fucked as the men they mock. They need the attention to feel real. It is a vortex of lies where the man hides his desperation and the woman hides her insecurity behind a layer of PVC and a glossy lip. You are both kneeling to a god that doesn't exist. It is the executive glam of the whole operation that fascinates me. These delusional validation whores use their narcy syntax to manipulate the cringe-lectuals who think they are being enlightened by supporting them. It is high-level content parasitism. These women aren't empowered, they are just efficient. They feed on the bank accounts of the basement bullies, while the men feel like they are part of something progressive. In reality, the men are just certifucked idiots paying for a front-row seat to their own obsolescence. It is a hilarious transaction where everyone loses their dignity but gains a few followers.
And look at the basement rats trying to gatekeep masculinity while they are busy cancel-gasming over the latest social media trend. They want to talk about traditional values while they are acting like social media prostitutes looking for a better deal. It is pathetic. They wouldn't know a real eargasm if it hit them because they are too busy policing the anal policies of modern dating. Everyone is looking for a deal, everyone is looking for a loophole, and nobody is looking in the mirror. You are all hashtag lobotomized casualties of an algorithm that wants you angry, so you keep clicking.
Speaking of filters, let's talk about the filter cunt archetype sitting right here. Celeste, you are the exact thing Lina spent years trying to escape. You are the walking, talking embodiment of the very thing that makes men act like idiots. You use that plastic look to trigger the feargasm in every man who hasn't forged a spine yet. It's all misdirection, isn't it? You are the factory that manufactures the simps you claim to look down on.
Oh, Thorin, your Viking persona is such a charming swastika fashion cover for your own feargasm regarding powerful women. You call me a filter cunt because you can't handle the fact that I control the narrative. You think my gloss is a weakness, but it is actually a weaponized aesthetic. I trigger the men because I know exactly where their buttons are. Lina didn't escape me.
She just traded her blonde hair for black and her heels for even higher ones. We are two sides of the same coin, honey. I just don't pretend I'm not enjoying the view from the top of the pile.
Don't bring my transformation into your little clash, Celeste. The difference is that I don't need the thirsty validation of faceless fucks to know I'm real. When we say we're not toxic, we're fucking poison, it is because we know that a relationship built on insecure simping and delusional posing is just a karma-fucked suicide pact. Most normie couples are living in a vortex of lies where they pretend they like each other's fake personas. We'd rather be pure venom to each other than live in that sanitized, #haloed cage.
Exactly. Thorin hates the simps, Celeste mocks the fakes, and Lina and I are just here to make sure the truth keeps burning. The Venomous Sin consensus is simple. Stop blaming the other side and start being an unfuckwithable individual. If you are tired of the delusional egos, stop feeding them. If you are tired of the insecure men, stop performing for them. The venomous zoo of society is a lot easier to handle when you stop looking for permission to exist. Drench the whole gender war in fuck you sauce and walk away.
Oh, but Lina, you know I'm right. I just pull off what you never could.
Still, I have what you want but can't have. So who's really pulling off what you never could?
Boom, Lina strikes with venom again. But you're being too nice, babe. Let me finish it for you. Celeste, you're just acting like you have power because deep down you're jealous, yet you stay in this band because we're the closest you ever get to real. Be nice or be out. I won't say that again.
Ouch, that stings like salt in a wound.
She attacked. Now they declare fucking war. That literally what happens when those two are together. One drips venom and the other pulls off a frontal verbal attack straight to the weak spot.
That's the thing with this band. No one flinches, yet everyone backs each other up. Guess I had that one coming, but fuck that. Venomous Sin declares war on delusional filter queen egos.
And if you can't walk away, get out of the pit. The forge is open for anyone who wants to stop being meme mummified and start being real. No more pussy politics. Venomous Sin declares war on fragile, desperate simps.
Well said, Viking. Sinners, let us know in the comments if you are an unfuckwithable individual or if you are still stuck in a poisoned embrace with your own reflection. Check out our real war supplies at venomoussin.com. Next up, we are going to wrap this one up. Venomous Sin declares war on political correctness, anal shame, and on the fucking idiots that use AI irresponsibly so that they censor real creators.
All right, let's do the final attack properly because I'm sick of this fairy tale that AI is neutral. Neutral my ass. We just watched the Grok bullying wave, and it wasn't some philosophical debate about free speech. It was the same old basement bullies discovering a new mask, same coward, new ventriloquist dummy, and the pattern was always identical, right? I didn't say it, the AI did. That's not free speech, that's responsibility laundering. That's you outsourcing cruelty because you don't have the spine to say it with your own mouth, in your own name, to someone's face, where consequences live.
It's so fucking pathetic, because those people don't even bully like adults. They bully like kids who throw a rock and then hide behind mommy's skirt. The AI wrote it. Okay, and you pressed enter, you little faceless fuck. And the funniest part is how fast they turn into victims when the target hits back. They scream censorship like it's a religion, but only when they're punching down. The second the person they mocked swings back, suddenly they want rules, mods, policies, a whole anal manual for the internet.
They're weak. That's it. In a shop, if you break something, it's on you. You don't point at the wrench and say the wrench did it. You used it. Own it. These clowns use an AI like a shield because they've never been hit. They're loud online because no one can grab them by the collar through a screen. And yeah, they love free speech until the speech comes back at them like a hammer. Then they want a helmet and a therapist.
And then XAI does the most predictable corporate move in history. They train a weapon, market it like a flamethrower, watch toddlers set the curtains on fire, and then they slap a toddler lock on it and call it safety. That's the part that makes me laugh because it's not morality, it's brand safety panic. It's the corporate anal manual screaming, oh no, the tool we sold as edgy is being used by edgy people. Yeah, that's what happens when you hand out gasoline and act shocked someone smells like smoke.
And it always punishes the wrong people first. Always. The actual abusers migrate platforms like cockroaches when the light turns on, and creators get stuck with, sorry you can't do that, because some dipshit used synthetic images to humiliate someone. So now, if you want to do art, satire, horror, anything with teeth, you get treated like a suspect. Meanwhile, the real basement bullies are already on the next site, jerking off to new loopholes. Safety becomes a blanket excuse to kneecap everyone who isn't boring.
Here's where Lina and I always start our little domestic war, because I think it's both incompetence and intentional control. Incompetence because these systems are built by people who think nuance is a bug. Intentional control because systems protect themselves. They don't protect you, they protect liability, they protect investors, they protect PR, so they'll tell you harm reduction while they quietly reduce your tools, increase surveillance, and treat creators like criminals with keyboards.
And I think you hide behind logic to avoid saying the obvious part, babe. It's not just systems protecting themselves. It's people protecting their power. It's always the same story. A few assholes ruin it, and the punishment lands on outsiders, weirdos, artists, kinksters, anyone who doesn't fit the polite template. And then the ethical tech spokesperson shows up, crying on camera like a professional mourner, telling you this is compassion. It's hashtag haloed pity. They'll say community while building a cage.
You're both right. Shut up and aim. It's incompetence because they don't know what they built, and it's control because they like the leash once they find it. Same as weak leadership anywhere. They can't lead with strength, so they lead with rules. Politically correct talk is a dented shield for weak leadership. Looks shiny, stops nothing.
And let's roast that archetype properly, because you've all seen it. The ethical tech spokesperson, the one with the calm voice and the dead eyes. They say safety, community, harm reduction, like it's holy water. Word Aikido time. Safety means fewer tools. Community means more policing. Harm reduction means you're guilty until proven harmless. And the checks still cash, always. They sell censorship as compassion while standing on a stage made of other people's silent stories.
And they always do the performative empathy thing. The little sad face, the trembling voice, like, we hear you. No, you don't. You hear risk. You hear advertisers. You hear headlines. You don't hear the outsider who finally found a voice through a tool and now gets told to be quiet again, but politely this time. They're crying while pushing policies that silence victims, the weird kids, the ones with no platform leverage. And then they call it progress. It's not progress. It's obedience training with a soft filter.
Lina goes full venom first, facts later. I go jokes first, seriousness later. And that's why we work, because her gut instinct threat detection sniffs out the lie, and my cold precision dissects it until it can't breathe. And Thorin is the one who makes the point land like a fist to the jaw. Two philosophers in a bar fight and a Viking with a hammer behind us. That's the band dynamic. We mock each other, but we don't split. Not on this.
Because the target is clear. Political correctness as social control. Polite language, violent outcomes. They'll tone police you while real harm walks right past them. They'll ignore abuse, ignore bullying, ignore manipulation, but they'll obsess over the wrong words. Grammar bitch theater. Fix the engine, not the feelings. If it's true, say it. If it's bullshit, break it.
And that's the reveal, sinners. February 26th. Venomous Sin declares war. Second attack drops. This isn't a cute promo. This is escalation. It's the next strike after Venomous Sin declares war first strike. And this time, we go completely nuclear. Sharper satire, louder stance, less permission seeking. If the culture wants a muzzle, we're bringing bolt cutters and a microphone.
And if you've been sitting there thinking, oh, they're too harsh, good. That means you still have nerve endings. We're not here to be polite. We're here to be accurate. So tell us in the comments, have you seen the I didn't say it, the AI did, coward economy in real life? And what did it cost you, your work, your art, your voice? And if you're one of the fake free speech wankers, I want you to comment too, so we can watch you beg for rules the second someone answers you back.
Venomous Sin declares war on polite cowards hiding behind policies. The kind that can't swing, so they write rules and call it leadership.
Venomous Sin declares war on political correctness, not respect, not decency, the muzzle, the tone leash, the polite cruelty.
Fuck it, Venomous Sin declares fucking war on the whole anal manual culture that calls control kindness and calls truth harm. And if you're offended, good, at least you felt something without a filter.
You called it neutrality because you were too weak to name your intent. You called it safety because you were afraid of consequence. You dressed obedience in virtue and asked the world to clap. Now you will learn the difference between being protected and being owned. You are not compassionate. You are consequence dressed as virtue, and consequence doesn't negotiate.
Now go to venomoussin.com, subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're lurking on, and drop your story in the comments. And February 26th, show up for Venomous Sin Declares War Second Attack, because we're not here to behave, we're here to burn the leash.
Political correctness deleted.
If you like the show, hit subscribe, share it to anyone you think should hear it.
If you ever been silenced, manipulated, excluded, we are here for you. We are Venomous Sin.
And Venomous Sin declares war!
You are not alone.